Thank you for joining us today. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Julia Bendis. I'm a matchmaker and dating coach out of Orange County, California. And I'm joined today by Ann Parnes. She is also a matchmaker and dating coach out of New Orleans, Louisiana. I can never say New Orleans. Did I say it right? New
You said
New Orleans.
it.
All right. So I'm going to let Ann tell you a little bit of what she does in her background, and then we will dive right into a topic about matchmaking and why it still has a stigma around it. It's still taboo for some people, and we will go over all of that. So Ann, tell us a little bit about your background. What do you do? And we'll go from there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Julie. It's fun to be here with you. We share a common background that we were both from Russia, originally the Soviet Union, and I've been here for a really long time. And I'll fast forward through I was a prosecutor before, and then for the last few years, I've just been coaching. And so matchmaking, I'm a little new to matchmaking, but what I've found with a lot of my coaching clients is there are so many people who are so amazing and just really want to be in these healthy, loving relationships. And so I've not wanted to stay in my lane as a coach. And
Right.
so I think this would be a really great opportunity to expand, what I love to do, and that's to connect people and help them find those healthy, loving relationships. So I come at it from a little bit, I bring my coaching to it. What I really like to do, having been married for so many years and having so many friends and clients who've been married, is, I don't think love is enough to make a lasting relationship. So what I like to do is get beyond what that chemistry is and take each client individually and help them figure out, what does that look like for them? What is a loving relationship? Take some of their past learning and really figure out what they need and what their deal breakers are, and kind of carry that in so I can do a more targeted match or coach them if they're not ready for that long-term relationship.
Right. And do you find that you said we both have a similar background, being from Russia? We came here as young children, and well, I was 13, but you were a little bit younger, right? And do you find that our background, our culture kind of helps to set the tone for the whole matchmaking thing? Because it's kind of in our blood, which is what I always tell people, right?
Absolutely. I've been doing it unofficially since middle school for sure. And I think it is something
I like
that we find in common. It's that natural inclination.
right.
Both value relationships. And so I think we both want to see people happy in them.
Right, exactly. That's what I tell everyone. It's kind of in our culture. And so talking about our topic today, when people still view matchmaking as something taboo, we take it personal. We take it as, this is our life. This is what we've always done. And I don't know about your mom or your grandma, but I remember my grandmother doing this on the streets of Ukraine. This is how she would do it. And they would pay her in gold, or they would pay her in jewelry or a chicken. So when I see people that say things like, I'm not desperate yet, so I'm not going to use a matchmaker. And I think that's the thing that I've talked to other matchmakers about. We want to make sure people understand, just because you go to a matchmaker does not mean you're desperate or that there's something wrong with you, right? It's actually for your own good. It's to have someone who is a professional, someone who has the time and in the background and the people, that you don't have to do all that work, right? So I think people need to kind of get outside of their little box and stop thinking that using a matchmaker is like this old Jewish lady who is meddling in everybody's business. That's just not the same anymore. Matchmaking has evolved, and we know what we're doing, right? I think we've all had long relationships. I had marriages and babies born due to what we do. So a lot of times I tell people, you can't think that way. You're not desperate about going to a matchmaker. You're actually helping yourself, right? I mean, do you find the same thing?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we're providing a value for somebody who wants something. And, just like I'm sure that if you have the time and the energy and the desire to go through, I don't know, a Marshalls or a TJ Maxx, and you have this one outfit in mind that you want to get, maybe you'll find it. Or you can get a personal shopper. It's, who really understands what you're looking for. It's just for people who are either tired. I know a lot of my clients are really tired of online dating and people just not being who they say they are, people not looking the way that they have represented themselves in their profiles, and you're just meeting a stranger who's, not been, I don't know about you, but I really get to know, I'm sure, I know you do the same. I get to know my clients. If they're not referrals, then I do a background check. You sort of know that at least the person you're being introduced to has already been vetted once, had somebody who's a professional who knows how to, really get to the bottom of who a person is. That we've done that for you so that you're not just kind of going by who's on the other end of an online picture yourself. So exactly. It's a valuable service. And I think our clients will attest to that, and so I agree. Removing that stigma would make it, much better for everybody.
Right, exactly. I think that's what people don't realize. It's a perfect analogy what you said about TJ Maxx or those type of places you go. You need to have the time. So if you have the time to look through hundreds of profiles and online dating, or keep going to bars on a Friday night, then good, great. I think online dating is a great tool, and I always say that. But if you don't have the time to devote to it, then why not use a professional, right? Like you said, I do the same thing with the background checks. If I feel something is off, referrals is huge. Most of our people that come to us are referrals. I don't advertise, I don't market, and I'm very choosy about who I take on, as I'm sure you are as well. So I think that's a big thing that I want people to know, is that this isn't for desperate people. This is actually pretty exclusive. So, and we don't seek people. For the most part, people are referred to us. So, so that's been a huge topic, especially I think for people under 40. They feel, oh, I still have plenty of time, or this is my second time around. I can do this on my own, right? And then a year later, you're still single. Right. So why not give it a try, right?
Wasting time, and that's more valuable than anything else. As we realize when we're getting older, it's, if you want to have that relationship, it seems like the best idea would be to, have the help of somebody who's a professional, who's got the resources and the connections to, figure out what you need and find that person for you. Have a more targeted search than just, I don't know, Plenty of Fish or Match or whatever else is out there.
Right, which we're not saying that there's anything wrong with those.
Nothing wrong with it. Absolutely.
But you have to have the time. On top of the fact that
those texts and get that preliminary information, you have to ask a lot of, kind of awkward questions that if things like religion are super important to you, but you don't, sensitive topics, we can ask those questions so that we can only bring you those matches who have what you're looking for, so save you some of that time and those awkward moments too,
Right, exactly. And I'm glad you bring that up, because I had two people who actually did see each other on, I don't remember if it was Match or eHarmony or one of those websites, and they both asked me, by any chance, do you know this person? Would I be a good match for them? Because I don't stop people, and I don't know if you have anything in your contract about not doing online dating while they're with you. I don't, because I think the more choices they have, the better. I just want them to communicate that with me, and if they met someone on there, we'll put their membership on hold. So in fact, they both did ask me the same thing. Do you know this person by any chance? Have they come to me? Would they be a good match? Should I go ahead and communicate with them? And turns out they were the worst match you can think of, because on paper they looked great, on very, on kind of shallow end of it. But then when I started looking at what they were both looking for example, I'll give you examples. She has cats, which is fine, but he's definitely allergic to cats. So she was leaning very much to the right as a Republican, and she didn't want to date anyone that wasn't a Republican, especially with what's going on in the world right now. We want to be with like-minded people. And he was very much a liberal. There was a whole list that went on that if they would have continued talking on their own, eventually it would have been a waste of time, because people don't talk about those things in the beginning. But I know all those things, so I wouldn't have put them together. So that was a perfect example. So I want to we have some questions from people that posted it online on our social media, and I know they've emailed us. So, there's a lot of questions about men. Why do men do this? Why do men do this? So one of the questions I thought was, it keeps coming up. Why don't men tell you what they want, and when they don't want to see you, they just talk to you instead of just ghosting you? You know, this whole new thing of ghosting,
Yes.
right? Where they just disappear. Why do men do that? Do you want to take it on?
I think there's no answer that fits every man out there, but in my opinion, if that's the way they handle things, then I almost think it's a blessing, because I think that
Right.
personally, and I think for a lot of people, if you're the type of person who likes someone who communicates and who's strong enough to communicate things that might not be the most pleasant, well, then there's your answer. I mean, this guy can't even, make
Right.
the. So my thing is, if treat others the way that you want them to treat you, and if somebody's not treating you the way that you want to be treated, or acting in that way, then goodbye, good riddance, and move on, right? So it's hard, and people take it really personally, but I think it speaks volumes about the other person themselves rather than taking anything to reflect on you, because that can be handled so much better.
Right. And I agree. And don't you find that the older we get, the more people don't change?
Absolutely.
So they could tell you, I'm sorry, I'll be better next time. I'm sorry, I'm just not good at this. I'm sorry, I'm not this. But at the end of the day, they are who they are. And the older people get, the more they become set in our ways. So if they're not good at communicating, I always say, well, you let them figure that out. When they lose you, maybe they'll figure out it's something they need to work on.
Right.
Communication is huge. So I don't think people can change. I think they can work on things if they want to, but again, only if they want to, right? So I agree with what you said. It's probably better to just walk away. I mean, if it happens once and you want to confront them and find out what happened, maybe they felt embarrassed about something, maybe they were having issues. But if it keeps happening more than once, chances are this is going to be your relationship.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. Everybody makes mistakes, clearly, and it's more of a pattern of behavior. And I think that it's really important to always, look at actions rather than words. And so you can read a lot about what someone's intentions are and what their character is by how they're treating you and what that behavior is. So I would say if it's a repeated thing, then if that doesn't work for you, assume that they're never going to change, and just, if that doesn't work for you, it doesn't have to. If that's not the way you want to be communicated with or treated, then that's perfectly okay. And there are definitely other fish in the sea.
Right, exactly. So another question we had was, and there's a lot of this question as well, why does everything about their personal lives have to be secret? Even when they're married to you, why is everything secret? It starts out secret and then it just grows from there, which I do find with some men, they're very private. They're very private with everything in their lives. They don't, if they have kids, they probably don't want you to meet the kids for a very long time. There's just some people like that. It's men and women. I don't think it's just men, but it's mostly men that are very secretive about things. So I don't know if there's a reason why that is, but I think if you're not on the same level as them about what you want to share with people, what you don't want to share, it's probably not a good match. Because if you're someone who has a group of friends and you tell them everything and you like communicating about things and you like their feedback, and he's completely closed off, doesn't even want you to meet his kids, that's probably not going to last either. So those are all good questions to ask in the beginning, in the very beginning of a relationship. How open you are to having your kids later on. Obviously not tomorrow and on the second or third date, but those are all good questions. But again, you do a lot more coaching than I am, so maybe you can explain how you would deal with someone like that, and explain to whether it's a man or a woman.
I think the biggest thing is kind of what you said. It has to work for you, right? Everybody has a different type of relationship that would work for them. So I think if you're, like you said, if your value system, if you're open and you really value openness and intimacy, and then you have someone on the other end who's not just being a little guarded in the beginning, because I guess if you've got kids, that's normal. But someone who their privacy is one of their top values, and they really are, fairly opposed to coming and meeting, that probably isn't going to work. But then some people who just kind of don't that's not a big deal for them. They might value privacy themselves, and so it just has to be a match for you. But certainly that's something you want to figure out before you get into it for the long haul.
Right. Exactly. I completely agree. So we have a lot of questions, and I think maybe we should leave it for next time because a lot of the questions are very similar. Why do men do this? Why do men this? We'll take one last question. Why do men say they didn't mean to hurt you, but continue doing so and continue to say, I'm sorry every time? Why is it a man's not happy in a relationship, they stay in it, and in any way, they continue to stay in it even if they're not happy, but they continue to hurt you? Again, it seems like a lot of these questions are about men, but again, it's the wrong man. And no one,
with anyone, it could
right.
easily be a man asking the same question, but a woman. I think in these kind of the answers are going to be similar, don't you think?
Right, exactly. I think it's just, it's who you're attracting as well. And you got to set your standards from the beginning. And there's certain things that should be non-negotiable. Communication, and whether you want to, at the end of it, you want to be married or you just want a partner in life. Because a lot of people second time around, third time around, they don't want to get married. But those are all the things you kind of need to, it's got a boundary. This is what you want. So I'm sure we could talk about this for forever. So if you want to get in touch with Anne, I'm going to post all her information, and then my information will be on there as well. My website is matchbyjulia.com. You can get all the information on my website. I'll have hers on there as well. And and we'll be back with more topics. So thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, Julia.
We'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.